I've been a fan of SpongeBob since episode 1 aired, and watching it grow from just being a humble Nicktoon into the cultural icon that it is today, there's one staff member's name that I don't think is brought up nearly enough when talking about the people who made the show really great. More specifically, I'm talking about the earliest seasons of SpongeBob that really captured the world's attention. Please subscribe to my channel for more interesting SpongeBob videos, and with that, let's talk about the woman behind the genius of early SpongeBob.
It's common to hear Nicktoon fans say that they prefer the early seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants. This could be due to many factors. Some more reasonable people that don't overanalyze cartoons might simply say it wasn't as funny later on. Others that can really put their finger on the reason might say it was that the show went on a 2-year hiatus in between seasons 3 and 4 to create the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. A 2-year hiatus could bring out the cobwebs on any team, but could 2 years really affect a show that much? I mean, they were still working on the movie at that time. Well, the changes were more than just in time. First off, the animation for SpongeBob had already been evolving before the movie. You see, the show's creator, Stephen Hillenburg, had previously worked on the other Nickelodeon hit, Rocko's Modern Life. He worked as a director, writer, and storyboard artist on that show, so it's safe to say Hillenburg had great knowledge on how to run an animated program. With that, SpongeBob was pitched as a show laden with physical comedy. The first season was cel animated, as opposed to digitally animated, meaning that the show was created frame by frame. This meant that the animators would put a ton of effort into what they created. Not to say that digital animation doesn't take effort, but I mean, come on, when you're drawing it frame by frame, you're forced to create some fine details. Thus, Hillenburg made sure to give them something worth animating. Basically, they wrote with the animators in mind, so the physical gags all felt organic and flowed naturally. They did shift to digital animation in Season 2, but the same life is still present. That's because they were still writing with the animators in mind. And in my opinion, this life remains until Season 4. But that's when the animation starts to lose its soul for me. The wild animations started feeling forced or shocking. That's how we got Squidward torture. So, what exactly changed in Season 4? Season 4 marked the departure of Stephen Hillenburg from the SpongeBob crew, and with that went the animator's brain behind the operation. So it makes sense why the digital animation no longer seemed as inspired as previous seasons. But hey, Hillenburg didn't write every SpongeBob script, so while the animation is lacking in their later seasons, how's the writing? Meh, it's not very stellar either.
Oh, it is! It is! It's the banana peeler we have been searching 117 years for!
I feel like when I scan through the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob, there's an iconic moment I can recall from each. Just looking at an episode, it's like, oh yeah, karate choppers, that was a good one. Grandma's kisses, ooh, and chocolate with nuts, come on, chocolate! But you get to Season 4 and it's like, oh yeah, there was like a medieval themed episode. That was pretty underwhelming. So we can just attribute this writing decline to Hillenburg's departure, right? Here's the thing. Stephen Hillenburg returned to the SpongeBob staff as the showrunner for seasons 9 through 11. So why don't those newer episodes from Hillenburg come off as iconic as his earlier ones? I mean, there are some good ones.
After all these years of my trying to teach him how to drive, he doesn't know the first thing about a car! I'm going crazy!
But I don't hear people saying, oh my gosh, every episode in this season just hits, it's a home run, like we were about 1 through 3. And that's because I don't think Hillenburg was purely the genius behind SpongeBob. While I do think he possessed both animating and writing skills, it's apparent from interviews that he wasn't full of ideas early on. It's said that the writing staff used most of the story ideas that were in Hillenburg's series Bible, and they had problems on how to generate new ideas. Meaning all of the ideas Hillenburg had pitched the show with were used, and they couldn't figure out other situations to put their characters in. Stricken with writer's block, the Spongy staff then lost a crew member when story editor Peter Burns left the staff. Who's this Peter Burns guy? I've never heard of him. Why, he's just some guy, right? Not so much. Not a very expendable crew member. A story editor is the one who oversees the general writing staff, developing stories with the writers and clearing everything for greenlight on production. Along with that, Burns had co-written legendary episodes such as Tea at the Tree Dome, Ripped Pants, Jellyfishing, Pizza Delivery, Pickles, Jellyfish Jam, Sandy's Rocket, Nature Pants, FUN, Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost, The Chaperone, and Scaredy Pants. Whoa, talk about a portfolio of work to be proud of. But to be fair, recall that apparently many of these could have also been pulled from Hillenburg's initial idea Bible, so maybe he was appropriate to edit these stories, but failed on generating new stories or motivating the team to properly do so. Either way, with Peter Burns stepping down, that was when Meriwether Williams was promoted to story editor. And this is the woman I believe to be behind the genius of early SpongeBob SquarePants. Fun backstory, Williams actually had a cameo in the show.
I am now going to assault your mind with subliminal messages. Sorry you had to see that.
That's right. The subliminal messages girl from Gary Takes a Bath is Meriwether Williams. She also helped write the episode though, so that's really not too surprising of a discovery. At least you got a new talking point for the water cooler now. But on to the real backstory. Meriwether Williams was actually an executive at Nickelodeon before she stepped down to write outlines for SpongeBob. I was trying to find more information on why exactly she made such a drastic career alteration, but it seems perhaps she was just fatigued from being a suit and wanted a creative role. That job eventually set her up to accept the role as story editor when it opened up. That was literally all her experience before SpongeBob, being a suit. But Hillenburg took her seriously. He assigned her the task of getting the writers coming up with new ideas, since that had been their biggest roadblock so far. So Williams went out and read books on writing, specifically a book called Zen in the Art of Writing, written by Ray Bradbury. This book inspired a writing game where she filled a hat with random nouns, and the writers would go around picking one out of the hat. Then they would have a limited amount of time to create a plot around that noun. Just makes me imagine what kind of episodes we probably got from this exercise. Like, they just pull the noun out, hall monitor. SpongeBob, he's a hall monitor for the boating school, but it goes wrong when he takes it outside of the boating school. So impressed with her, Hillenburg had Williams continue reading books, and she came up with 2 more writing exercises for the team. So it's safe to say that she's the reason SpongeBob got through its season 1 writer's block, along with Hillenburg's brilliant direction, of course. So as the story editor, she was helping a lot with creating the stories, then participating in the editing. And this is where Patrick's genius truly shows. The show's genius. While any show can be funny and have animated gags, I think for a show to still be technically well written truly makes it a home run. Now, what do I mean by technically well written?
Well, if you really want to know.
The best way I could explain this is something I learned from YouTuber Tyler Mowry, who has a fantastic channel if you're interested in learning about screenwriting. This is Dan Harmon's Story Circle. The Story Circle is a basic structure you can follow to create a meaningful story, and Harmon uses it for his shows like Rick and Morty and Community. But this Story Circle can easily be applied to any writing, even SpongeBob. The circle has 8 steps. Step 1, a character is in a zone of comfort. The character is living their life as it's normal to them. Step 2, the character wants something. This want motivates the character to move forward to get what they want. Step 3, the character enters an unfamiliar situation. Step 4, the character adapts to the new situation. Step 5, the character gets what they want. Step 6, they pay the price. Step 7, they return to normal. Step 8, having changed. This story circle can be used to formulate an episode, a scene, even just a beat. And what if I told you that the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob follow the story circle every single episode? Such as the episode when SpongeBob wants to enter the salty spittoon. Let's go through the steps. 1. A character is in a zone of comfort. SpongeBob and Sandy are at Goo Lagoon. 2. The characters want something. SpongeBob and Sandy want to get into the salty spittoon. 3. They enter an unfamiliar situation. This comes when Sandy is allowed in, but SpongeBob is denied because he's weak. See, now Sandy never seems to mind their obvious strength differences, but finally SpongeBob has encountered someone who is fully acknowledging that he is much weaker than Sandy. Step 4, the character adapts, and SpongeBob does so by getting advice at the Weenie Hut Jr., trying a disguise, pretending to be a tattoo, until he decides to fake a fight with Patrick and wins. This is where we get to step 5. He gets what he wants. Having won, SpongeBob is allowed into the salty spittoon. But he slips on an ice cube into step 6 when he pays the price and wakes up in an ambulance. He's returned to normal by being back with Sandy, just in the ambulance, and still being much weaker than her, and is now changed by realizing he's not meant for the salty spittoon.
Boo-boos, eh?
Even being told he's not meant for a normal hospital. Every episode follows this story circle. It goes even as much as a small story beat. Again, for example, in that same episode, right before SpongeBob gets allowed into the salty spittoon, SpongeBob is with Patrick. SpongeBob wants Patrick to help him fake a fight, but make it look real. The unfamiliar situation is the faked fight in front of the bouncer. SpongeBob adapts to the situation by acting threatening and mean to Patrick, eventually calling him Tubby. SpongeBob gets what he wants when Patrick looks pissed and punches him in the face, thus making him pay the price. SpongeBob apologizes to Patrick, reminding him that it's a faked fight, returning them back to normal of being friends, and thus get back to the fight where Patrick obliterates himself, which changes the bouncer's opinion of SpongeBob, allowing him into the salty spittoon. The show was just carefully crafted at each level. You can really go back and see this in every episode pre-season 4. In fact, I think I will. I'm going to start a series analyzing every SpongeBob SquarePants episode based on the writing structure, comedy setup, and character arcs / continuity. This series will be called SpongeBob Sunday, or Sponge Day. Sponge Day, Sponge Day, Sponge Day! Kids' seats are still just $5. Anyone else remember those Monster Truck Rally commercials? I bet kids' seats are still just $5. Now, to be honest, I don't know if Meriwether Williams used this story circle per se, but no matter, she obviously left her lasting impression on the show with how well she knew how to construct the writing. I wanted to make this video to ensure we give plenty of props to Meriwether Williams' contribution to the show's legacy. Since SpongeBob, she's written for My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Camp Lazlo, and Adventure Time, which were all successful shows. I mean, Camp Lazlo not so much as the other two, but whatever. Williams left SpongeBob after season 3, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I do see that she also wasn't brought back to work on SpongeBob SquarePants the movie, so maybe that had something to do with it. Which sucks, because I really remember liking the SpongeBob movie. But I also like dipping my watermelon in ranch dressing as a kid, so it's safe to say that my tastes may have matured since I was a wee lad. And if Meriwether Williams didn't help with the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, then I wonder if that's even as good as I remember. Looks like I got another video to make there. Subscribe to the channel if you want to know when I'll put that one out, or if you just want to be keeping up with Sponge Day. Like this video if you enjoyed my mouth sounds. This is Smithereens, and this video has been seen.
Hey look, I'm holding 2 cool videos right here for you to check out. Yeah, check one of them out. Look, I'm holding them both. Aren't I strong? I got anchor arms. Got anchor arms because they would sink me to the bottom of the earth if I fell into the ocean.